Welcome to the Nitpicking Nerds and another episode in the series of grading staples.
This time, it's the second edition of grading red Commander staples.
I'm your host, Joe, the Cherries.
I'm your host, Beezy, and that makes us the Nitpicking Nerds. Now, I don't usually gossip right at the beginning of the video, but I heard that all of our viewers who want to support the channel can go to TCG player link in the description. Is that true?
Yeah, you use it, click, buy whatever you want. Because you did that, you support us while supporting your habit of Magic the Gathering.
And this is just hearsay, but if you were to go to our patreon.com, you potentially could find ways to support us even more fully.
Yes, and that would be supporting our daily content.
But don't tell anyone I told you.
Yes, and I want to do one thing in the beginning of the video because I want to be super nice. Razwellian, our patron, our fan, made this sign for us. It's amazing. We're planning on getting a real neon one for the background. We really like this. It's awesome. We're going to get a real neon sign for the background, but that is always going to be part of our set for gameplay.
Yeah, it's going right
into the
gameplay zone.
Speaking of gameplay, a week from Tuesday.
Oh.
A week from Tuesday, Kickstarter begins for that. So let's get now we're ready.
Shuffle Scuffle. That is the name of it. It is our gameplay series.
We just have so much going on. We really got to, the beginning of the videos take a little longer because we just so much and we got to get it to you. Let's start this. Yes. So we're grading red staples. I'm actually surprised how many good ones there were. I remember grading the original red staples, the first 30, and thinking these cards are okay at best.
It's like tormenting voice.
Yeah, exactly. But these are really good, and there's some that aren't great, but overall I think they're good. So why don't you give them the rundown of the grades, and we'll hop into it.
You've heard this before, most likely, but if not, basically what it all boils down to is A, auto-include, B, build around, C, cuttable, D, don't really bother, F, forget about it, or forgubu.
Yes, and the best way to think about it, the lower the grade is, even if it's an F, the more reason you need to play it. So if we give a card an F, we're not saying never touch this card ever in a million years. There are cards that I've given Fs on this channel that I've put in decks, and I will in the future because they have enough synergy. It just means overall, you need a lot of reason. Our talks, much more important than the grades. If we give a card a D, but you hear everything we say about it, then you find the deck where that fits, it's going to help you a lot more than just saying it was a D, I shouldn't put this in.
Yeah, that's never... Going blindly on A, B, C, D is not going to help anybody, really. It's just a cherry on top. And we're not talking about CDH, and we're not talking about budget still, obviously. We have to make totally separate lists, and I have no interest in that right now because that's a lot of work for almost no gain.
It is, exactly. So those are completely different things. We're talking about EDH, the kind you're going to play if you go into your local game store, most likely.
Like 90% of all Commander is EDH.
Yes. You made that sound so good. First one, a Braid. I gave it a B-. I think this is a solid removal spell. If you start bleeding into colors that are very good at removal, you could probably cut your braids. If you go into your whites and your blacks, then a braid's probably not going to make the cut in the end.
Well, this could be a red-black card because black's not going to do anything against artifacts.
That's fair.
So maybe.
I think if you delve into white with your red, then you're probably not going to touch this card.
You're thinking white or green.
Yeah.
This is a garbage in those colors.
Yeah.
But, B- because in a deck that's trying to be low to the ground and actually answer a plethora of different things, especially in like the higher competitive metas, this is going to be great.
I think something I want to a great card to compare this to. Card we gave a C was Feed the Swarm, and the difference, and it's astronomical, is literally instant versus sorcery. The power difference between instant versus a sorcery is huge. It really is, because if Feed the Swarm is an instant, suddenly that card is a B- with a braid, maybe even a B, because that card just jumps up so much higher. But when you put it on a sorcery, it's so much worse. A braid is a sorcery, don't touch that card.
Oh, there they have that. It's called Rip Apart, and terrible.
At least Rip Apart hits everything. Like there's
enchantments, but you're in white.
Yeah.
It's just nothing you want. So special secret D grade to Rip Apart. Next is Kiki Mirror Breaker, B+, because this is part of 85 different 2-card combos. There's meme decks you can build where Kiki-Jiki's like the only creature in your deck and you do stuff like that. It's very specific. It says play Restoration Angel, play Village Bellringer, play Deceiver Echo. Once you play those 5 or 6 random cards, this is one of the best cards in your deck. Not close.
You don't even have to build for the Infinite Combo. The Infinite Combo it does take this card to the next level. That's why it's a B+, trending toward an A-. But you do need to have a deck with a solid 20 to 30, maybe even 40 creatures because you really want Kiki-Jiki to be activating. And not only that, they can't be legends.
No copying the legendaries.
Yeah, he doesn't copy legends at all. So I just think this card, even without any of the combos, still a B. Great card. There's so much value to be had. I've never seen a Kiki-Jiki live through two turn cycles. Not because oh, it's just super fragile. No, it's because it can't, or the value train is insane. Even if you're just copying Eternal Witness every turn, how is that beatable?
Sad robot. You just feel like you can't ever win. You have to get something going. The only thing I don't think this is very good at copying is like Grave Titan. That wouldn't be that good. You'd only get
what a curve.
You only get 4 zombies.
You go something that costs 2 red into 4 black.
Double mythic
in a 5-color deck just to show them up.
Reverberate is next. I really don't ever really go towards these. Now we're gonna give it a D because I think you could throw in the Miser's Reverberate effect in like a mono red deck to try to either gain access to some cheeky ramp. Although we would argue the best ramp spells you're not going to get to copy anyway because we're playing at least Nature's Lore and 3 visits on turn 2 most of the time. And it can copy a Cultivate. It can copy a big spell, like a Rise of Dark Realms. It's just like, oops, I win instead. But I think there's just better cards if you want that. I wouldn't play Reverberate.
I think that this is a type of thing that is cool. If you want to do this kind of deck, you can throw a ton of them in. There's a ton of different Reverberates. The ones that hit the opponent's spells, the reason I don't like them overall is you're relying on what your opponent's casting, and that's not a spot I feel like I want to be ever.
Yeah, that's why the Reverberate slot for me always goes to Reiterate. It always does, because the Reiterate has 2-card infinite combos to make infinite mana, so you can use it proactively, and then reactively, it's gravy. And you can buy it back to keep using it.
Yeah, and there's another one coming up on this list that I also think is a little better than this. Not much, but I do think it's better. So next, we have Young Pyromancer, B-. This card's solid. It puts up a ton. Your spell-slinging deck does need some of these creatures to like protect itself.
The jumpers.
This is one of the best ones. It just gives you so many bodies to just keep everyone off your back. Like 6/6 coming at me, jump it. Just get out of here.
Oh, you made a Grave Titan with Kiki-Jiki? Allow me to block that token with my 1/1. Is this going to help you set up? If you don't want fodder or you don't need chumps, don't bother.
Yeah,
it's a B- because you need those things.
Yep, you need a high amount of instant sorceries. If you meet that requirement and you need some bodies, Young Pyromancer does it almost the best out of anyone.
Ugh, Blood Moon. No one likes this card, but it's a B because no one likes this card because it's really good.
It's a B trending toward B+, even maybe trending toward A-.
It's a card you can just throw in your deck and it'll be good.
I'm gonna give it a B+. The thing that's required for this card is that you need to make sure your mana base can, on average, survive this. But there's even an extra caveat that makes it even better. Even if your mana base is weak to it, you know and control when you cast this card.
You don't have to cast it if you don't have any non-basic lands or if you're a 5-color deck or for some weird reason. But if you're any 2-color deck or mono red, you don't have to worry about this at all.
This is a card that purely doesn't see play because of the fun factor. It locks people out of the game. There's just certain decks, your 3, 4, 5-color decks that they can't handle this. Blood Moon comes down and suddenly they're just out of the game because they didn't have an answer.
And I think Blood Moon in every color, like let's say you clone it and make one for every color, I think the red one might be the best one because, you get access to red mana, the only color that can't answer enchantments.
I want to say,
for you.
Yeah, I do want to say right now, honest opinion, hot, not even, I think it's a cold take, but nobody thinks it. Red is the worst color in Commander. White is not. It's red, and I really don't think it's close.
I definitely want to dig into that in a future video. We're not being contrarian. We're thinking about it. We were looking, and we're like, maybe red.
And White's been getting pushed and getting very good cards for Commander. Red is just sitting there being like, look at all my stupid cards.
Squeaky wheel gets the oil.
Exactly.
And red's over here like silent. So Shatter's Ignition, moving on, is a B-. It's going to deal a poop load, a metric poop load, if you will, damage to everything. It's a B-, but only if you have giant creatures consistently. We're talking like your commander and then like 10 creatures you wouldn't mind throwing a Chandra's Ignition on. And it's a little bit risky because you have to target.
It could be 2 for 1. Yes. The main thing about this is I just think your commander needs to be an appropriate target. If your commander can be targeted with this and do probably 6 and up.
Okay.
That's the spot where you want this card. And then obviously you want more targets in your deck. You don't want it to just be your commander. If it can't work with your commander, stay away from this. I'm being honest. I don't think you want to play it otherwise.
It's probably too much. Maybe if you're in some kind of Voltron deck. And there's other little stuff you can do with it. You can throw some Infect in there to just kill everybody. Give your creature lifelink just gain infinite life, basically.
Yeah. Just totally, completely solid card. Moving on, we have Wheel of Misfortune. This is a D+.
Why?
But, well, it's just as a card, judging only by power, this card doesn't have that much to offer. It puts you in a position where you could not wheel. potentially, where if you're at the lowest life, you're in the most danger casting it. And it's not good overall at all times, like something like Wheel of Fortune. That being said, if fun was taken into consideration, I think this card is one of the coolest designs we've had for Commander in a long time. Awesome card, and if you want to have fun, put this in your deck.
The reason it's so fun is also the reason it's not very good. It minimizes feel bads. You don't even have to wheel. My hand's great. You just bounce my 2 best creatures. Oh, I don't want to wheel. I'll choose 0, and I don't have to. Versus Wheel of Fortune's like, nope, screw you. Take some new cards.
I think, wheels, the fixed wheels, I'm saying if Magic could control them, the players choose. Do you want to wheel? It's like, that's how you fix wheels, like especially for Commander. It's like, if a player can just choose not to wheel, it's going to make it much less of a feel bad.
Our boy Hullbreacher would still be here.
Maybe.
He would still be here.
He very well might.
Hellkite Tyrant is a C. It's just totally fine. 20 artifacts? That's like infinite artifacts. It's almost flavor text.
This card's cool, and I think it is decent. It fits perfectly at C. This is the most cuttable card from almost any deck. There's definitely decks that want this. And are going to win with it even.
Yeah, here's where this card gets taken up a notch. It doesn't give the artifacts back. So for the most part, what I would do when I have played this card is completely ignore the 20. The number's too big and it's not going to happen. Give it haste and destroy somebody's whole life. They're not going to see it coming. It just triggers, give me your stuff. All right, now I don't care what happens. I got your stuff. I got like 4 things.
Yeah, Hellkite Tyrant it's solid. It's just, it fits. Like, I can't think of if I had to do like a picturesque, like what is a C? Describe it.
Okay,
this is perfect. Cut it from most of your decks and keep it in something with a lot of synergy.
Right. Give it haste, dragon, tribal, those types of things.
Exactly. Next, Seething Song. This is just a D. Actually, no, I'm going to give it an F. I don't know why I gave it a D.
Seething Song at an F?
It's just at an F. This is a EDH card. When you're looking to like combo off and do some things, don't think this card's good. It's just a solid F to me.
I'm actually going to just put a tail on that. I don't even think it's a CDH card.
Maybe.
I don't think they even touched this with like a 10-foot pole. This, I think there's better rituals, and I don't know when you would need this per se. It's there for you. I know someone's already telling me what deck it goes in, and I know it's there for you for that deck. But when it goes in 1 or 2 decks and the whole format, that's basically just an F.
Yeah, I agree. F for Seething Song. Next, Chain Reaction, B-. Once you head to red, once you head from red and like branching the white or black where you have better board wipe, Chain Reaction is not necessary. Second best board wipe for just red though, maybe. Actually, we've had some good ones printed recently.
It's up there. It's
up
great.
there.
It's like the red Damnation. It's not great, but it will almost always destroy all creatures for 4 mana.
It's very rare that this doesn't destroy everything. Just never see it. But average, it's just a medium board wipe. Feel free to put it in a red deck.
And then, the B- can come from there's decks that would rather have this over any other board wipe in the format.
Of course.
Because if X is 20 and you give your spell lifelink or you've got Tutor, you just win.
Yeah, there's a lot of Chain Reaction just can win if you're playing Stuffy Doll type effects. Yeah, you want to deal this much damage to all the creatures. They'll be great. Next, Imperial Recruiter, B+.
We keep talking about these, and I don't want to say too much about it because we did Spellspeaker already and we did Recruiter of the Guard. 3 mana, blinkable, recurable bodies that tutor almost half the creatures in your deck are amazing.
This might even be better than a B+. This one's so hard to grade because it's incredible. It really is incredible, but obviously you need a ton of targets. If you don't have a ton of targets, this card's not worth playing. But
once 15 plus.
Once you have them, this card's going to play like an A+. It's the best creature in your deck.
And if you've got Unearth or Reanimate or any Undergrowth, Flicker, Blink, tutor up Kiki with this and then just go ham.
Yeah.
What even is that? I mean, that's by itself, actually. This card by itself can get you both of the Kiki combo pieces.
Yes, it can. The Pester might end this. So, yeah, that's a way to just win. Next, we have Torbrand, Thing of Redfell. This just doesn't go in any decks almost. He's almost exclusively a commander, and that's it.
Yeah, the replacement doesn't work as well as you want it to because with other replacements, you go and then it adds 2, right?
You choose which way that you apply replacements.
Right.
Like you can do 1 at a time. Like you can do 2 and then double or double then 2.
So it does work pretty well.
It does. It actually does work pretty well.
Damage doublers. It just is like a card in 99. It's not the most reliable thing. You got to build around it, and then your deck's okay. That's good. But obviously, Legendary Creature doesn't just get points for being in his own deck. So D. Goblin Welder, though. I think this one slept on a little bit, despite it being in the top 60.
Yeah, I gave this one an A-. Goblin Welder is a very strong Magic card. you want to have a high concentration of artifacts, obviously, for this card to really do the thing you're looking for. You're not just looking to throw this in the deck and do whatever with it. But you have a high concentration of artifacts. You're putting them in your graveyard, which red does incredibly well. And then you're just switching out your treasure token for Mycosynth Lattice, just for an over-the-top example.
Yeah, it doesn't even... It feels like you're cheating. Tap. You tap, like, victimize one of your artifacts. Or I'm trying to think of what it's called, but you just trash for treasure. Free artifact, doesn't matter the mana cost. You get all the ATBs. Then that artifact goes in the graveyard, where you might have a dice trigger or something else. It even counts as a sacrifice for, like, a Dargo deck. And oh my god, this is ridiculous value. If you have artifact destruction, which of course you do, you're red, and you blow up some of their artifacts, now you can just mess with them and turn their best thing into their worst thing.
Yeah, exactly. So if anything's in the battlefield, any artifact, you choose the artifact on the battlefield and in their graveyard, and then
If both targets are legal.
First thing, this card has the weirdest wording. Look up the errata text for this. It's insane.
The word simultaneously is on it.
It is, yeah. So like you target one on the field in the graveyard and they switch. So if they have something you don't want them to have, you just give them back some crappy Signet that died earlier. That doesn't matter now.
Yeah, even if you're trading a Signet for like trading post, you just feel like you're on top of the world. Now there's a threat in play, and this Goblin Welder's an even bigger threat, because even if they answer your threat, you're just going to welder it back next turn.
Yeah, big fan of Goblin Welder. Next, we have Felden of the Third Path, C+. He's a solid guy. But he doesn't go in many decks. You have to have the deck that has Goblin Welder, but also wants to be reanimating with this because it's expensive and slow. I don't know.
It's tough reading this after Goblin Welder. It's slow. It can give back creatures, but it's a C+ because, guess what? It's cuttable. Just like Sunbird's Invocation, also a C+, also cuttable. You have to do the untap with it, and then you cast your first spell, and you probably are going to trigger. But now you're even, because Sunbird's Invocation does nothing. So once you get your first free spell, it's now paid itself back, more or less. Then you got to get another spell and hit that, and now you're positive.
Yeah, this is big. This has cost a lot of mana, and it's tough to get. It's tough to untap with 6 mana artifact or enchantments rather that put such big targets on their head. They just die so easily because you see them and people understand this card is great if you untap with it. It's really, really good. It's tough to untap with this card.
It's slow. It's tough to double spell too.
Yeah, it's tough to double spell with like 6 mana spell. This card's good. Now, there's no doubt about it. This card, when it stays in the battlefield and when it performs, you're going to get insane value, but that's the tough part, is doing that.
Well, it's not that it's hard to double spell with a 6-drop. You can. It's totally doable.
It is.
But this one is worse because it doesn't matter if you double spell. You're almost guaranteed to not cast a relevant spell. If you cast a 2-drop, okay, look at the top 2 and you're not hitting a 2. It doesn't matter that you double spelled.
Yeah, exactly. That's a great point. Next, we have Outpost Siege. This is a C+. I think it's only really a mono red thing. It's very meh. I think this card slightly outperforms only a mono red, though. It's a Phyrexian Arena in mono red. Red is bad at drawing. This is sadly one of Red's best draw engines.
It's begrudgingly playable. You won't hate it once you're in mono red, but if you're in anything else ever, you just don't need it because your card draw, black, green, blue, even, maybe white too. White does not have much better.
That's fair.
White can't do much better than this.
Your Burrow Sex might enjoy this card too.
Right, so you have to be in the colors that are like starving for card draw, otherwise it's bad. Goblin Engineer, another good one. This kind of does a Welder impression, but it's only small things. But turns out there's a lot of really good small things like Phyrexian Halter.
Well, the thing you add to this one is, so if it only did small things, it would be like a C. But it tutors.
It entombs.
It entombs whatever artifact. It doesn't even have to be an artifact necessarily that you want to get back with him.
That's the sick part. It can just be a big fatty.
Yeah, you put any artifact in the graveyard and then you just start switching them. And that's why this card's so powerful, is that it allows you to entomb an artifact while still being this threat of activation thing.
Yeah, there's boards where this is better than Goblin Welder because you just want the thing in your graveyard. It goes and finds it for you. Now it doesn't matter if it dies. It's there. It's part of the game now. It's in your graveyard.
Yeah, it requires less setup because as long as you have all you need is an artifact on board that you want to get rid of. Boom, you're in.
Right, and Welder says, you got to put one in the graveyard too. So this very good for different reasons, for slightly different reasons, but they go in the same deck for sure. Curse of Opulence. I wanted this to be good. I really did. I really rooted for this. I tried it, and it's just a D-. It's so close to unplayable.
It's fine. It's really nothing special. If you like it, you should play it. If you don't like it, you probably shouldn't play it. That's all there is to it.
Here's what crushed me the one time. This was years ago. I played one, and I'm like, I'll enchant you. And Joe's like, all right, let's just not attack them. And I'm like, no, that feels awful. I can't win.
It's
what
like,
I do.
Let's make it. BZ loses a card. It's like.
And everyone was like, Yeah, he does. And I was like, crap, I do.
It's like, yeah, until he's a threat, let's just leave him alone. It's like, oh crap, now I just paid 1 red mana for an enchantment to increase my devotion by 1. No.
Well, like I still get the treasure. That is not a card. That's not really that good at all.
No, it's not. It's pretty weak.
Drakuseth Maw of Flame, you gave that a C? Explain.
I mean, it's a C. It's a very middle of the road card. You want to give it haste. It doesn't do anything super crazy, but if you get an attack off with it, it's a 3-for-1. It is almost always going to get that 3-for-1, or it can spray a ton of damage at face. The problem is you have to untap or give it haste, and that requires a lot of work.
I definitely have this below Hellkite Tyrant.
I agree.
Because even if it attacks, it's not game over. You're not sending it back to the Stone Age. They're just like, ow, that hurt. Okay, just board wipe or something.
I'm not arguing with you on that at all. I think it is worse, but it still fits into the same grade where it's like,
yeah, I wouldn't disagree with that.
This just doesn't really go into too many decks unless you have, your Dragon Tribal and stuff like that.
Even then, I'm pretty much off this.
That's fair.
Somewhere, Drakuseth is for you. Brass's Bounty. I think maybe Drakuseth I would put a C-, because I was thinking maybe Brass's Bounty I'd also put it C-. It's so specific. Once you hit it, card's not the best in your deck, but it's really good.
Yeah. It can become a ritual if you ever control more than 7 lands. That's just a huge upside to this card. The idea that you can go with this, you can basically bank your mana for a turn.
Yes. Skip your turn, take another one.
Exactly. You put all your mana aside and pass. And they're treasures, so they're a bunch of different things. So unless there's exactly an artifact wipe, like a Vandal Blast or something,
right,
you're going to tap on most of them. No one's single target removing a treasure. That's worthless.
It doesn't store it like a black market.
Yeah, exactly. So you're most likely going to get to untap with all these treasures. And then your next turn, you go crazy. You cast a big X spell, or you just cast like 4, 5, 6, 7 different spells because you have 20 mana.
Yeah, you can go ham. Brass's Bounty is really good with like mana doublers, because you're like, okay, I'll pay 3 mana for this. Now look at me. And I also Goldspan Dragon doubles your treasures.
Yes, very good. This card it's solid. It's definitely a solid card. It just doesn't.
Be careful. It's 7 mana.
I was gonna say,
sorcery.
The problem is, don't just throw this in a deck. It's not just a go. It has such a high ceiling, and it can make for awesome, insane turns that you're not going to get otherwise. But if you just throw this in a deck and say, I want to play Brass's Bounty, it's going to underperform, and you're like, oh, this guy's not that good.
Yeah, lean towards like the Brutaclads. And don't put it in your Drakuseth Maw of Flame deck.
Yeah, I agree with that.
This first legend I thought of. I wonder why.
Next is an amazing card. It's Terror of the Peaks, B+. This is a new card from last year. Card's real strong. It is Warstorm Surge on a 5/4 body that flies. Whew. Holy crap, is that good.
Easier to kill, but also easier to find and easier to get back after it dies. They took a mana off and they gave us a 5/4 flyer? With this, you can clone this.
This card's great. I mean, this card is very, very strong, and it gets going. It can't be left on the battlefield because it's almost always the biggest threat in play, because if it's not the biggest threat in play, it can answer the biggest threat in play usually.
This is a B+ and not like an A or anything. It goes in the decks where you have beef. You need chunk to actually fire off, or combos, or something of that nature. But you can't just play like 2/2s and expect this to be great.
Well, even then, if you're going wide, this card's still very strong.
Yeah, but like you can't just like play creatures, vanillas from your hand. If I'm playing a 4/4, I don't really feel like I got my value.
Yeah, you want to make sure you're just dealing enough damage, because ultimately you can. If you're going wide, Perforos and Impact Chummers will do more damage overall, and that's the advantage to that. But if you're going big, this is a choice, not even close. Great card.
Combustible Gearhulk. I'm sorry, I love the Gearhulk cycle. They're so cool, but this is a D-. You can be in a deck that wants to mill 3, where you'll say, hey, I get advantage from milling 3. I have big spells in my deck. You're going to take a bunch of damage, or obviously drawing 3 is amazing. It just is that 6-drop that you can never squeeze in because it's too slow and it'll gum up your opening hands.
Yeah, I want to say one thing about it. You have to care about milling 3 because you're going to mill 3 90% of the time.
It's like 90%.
Yeah. Next, we have Chandra, Torch of Defiance, D+. Now, talk about a card I love.
Oh, me too.
I absolutely love Chandra, and I'll play it in EDH. You ain't going to stop me, Mr. Ooh, I'm Joe Cherries. I give it a D+.
Yeah.
You're not going to stop me, Joe Cherries.
It's like a B in my head.
It is. I love Chandra, Torch of Defiance. It is my favorite Planeswalker ever printed. The art is stellar, and I'll put it in decks, but it's not that great. It doesn't have a lot of synergies, and ultimately, here's the real issue. It's an outpost seat that can be attacked. Yikes. Yeah, it has other modes, but it's mostly outpost seats that can be attacked.
In my experience, the ultimate actually will win you the game.
It is game winning.
It doesn't really look like, because 4 players, the game's still got a long ways to go. I don't think I've lost with a Chandra ultimate if I get it reasonably early.
Yeah, you're not going to if you get it, but getting it is
That is the tough part. Get your Yawgmoths, get your Proliferates, and then you can maybe cheese them out.
Much easier said than done. Next, we have Duretti, Scrap Servant, C+. This fits right in all those decks. This card goes in the deck we keep talking about with Goblin Welder, Goblin Engineer.
Feldon, maybe.
Feldon. That deck is all one deck. He's fine. And I think he's a great commander for the command zone.
Really good.
I do. I think he's one of the best mono red commanders because he just gets you insane value and sets up. God, he sets up for his next self. That's what's so good about him. You go loot the cards, and then he goes away, and then you play him again, and then you just get something back. It's like, geez, you just killed him, and he's back. Doesn't matter.
Thanks, Duretti. Duretti's good. C+. It's not.
Well, the problem is everything I just said is him in the command zone. He's very medium in the deck.
There you have it, folks, because it's not an artifact, so it dilutes your deck a little bit.
Exactly. Next, we have Increasing Vengeance. I gave this a C-. This is the one I was talking about over Reverberate. It only copies your spells, but that's what we're going for. I get it that Reiterate, it's a better card on the front side. But the flashback is what gives us an extra kick. Sure, this card's not bonkers or insane or anything, but I think if you're in the market for a copy spell, this is like your second or third best option.
I might agree with that. It will trigger your Magecraft. It copies twice. It's fancy stuff like that. Mm-hmm. You need some big spells, and you need a lot of mana. Maybe this is where I'm thinking about Brass's Bounty, because now I'm like, ooh, Brass's Bounty, flash it back, get like 38 treasures, and just pass turn.
Yeah, exactly. Why would you you have 38 mana?
Play your Drakuseth and then pass turn.
You have 38 mana. Why did you pass? You're so bad.
I'm sorry.
You want to play.
Ultimate your Chandra. It's a card. It's like a magical Christmas land card, because I was like, why am I mentioning those cards? Because it still feels like, how are you going to get there? When are you going to get 5 mana up and your best spell? That's why we just have it at C-.
Yeah, and it also does have the downside of potentially being blown out, because
or doing nothing.
If you cast a spell, go to copy a spell, and then they counter the spell 2 for 1. That's rough.
Yeah, that's not great.
Next is What is that?
Utvara
Hellkite. C. It's big and stupid.
Oh, wait, that's it. It's just big. And you do get the effect right away, because it's whenever a dragon attacks, right?
The effect has haste, for lack of a better term, yeah.
But it's 8 mana. Now we're so far up the mana. Finally, we got haste on the ability. We don't have to build around it. But you still have to go wait till I untap with all my 16 dragons.
I think that at 7's the mark that I usually think in my head. That is your end game.
You gotta be bashing skulls at 7 mana.
Those are your end game cards. So when you're spending 7 mana, you better be doing something really, really strong. And this just is not there for me overall.
Right. It's 8 mana for like 3 6/6 dragons. It just doesn't cut it. And it could be worse. It could be way worse.
This is in a text format. This card's great, but overall, I'm not interested.
Right. Shared Animosity. C+ is 2 and a red for an enchantment. Your creatures are going to get +X+0 for that type that's on the field. Tribal, good card. Aggro. What else is there to say?
Tribal aggro is the only thing you want to be in, and make sure that you don't. This is like another problem. It's going to be a spell in your creature deck.
Goblin Lords. Pump your goblins, and they're goblins. Great. This triggering for your goblins, it's good, but you can't put 10 of them in your deck, because then you're not going to have enough goblins.
Exactly. That's why let's get to C+.
The age-old problem.
Next, we have Krenko, Tinstry, Kingpin. If he's not in your command zone, he's a D.
This card's cool.
I think it is cool, and I think it's a nice design, but I do think it's bad. You need to get off an attack with it for it to do anything, and you have to be attacking with it if you don't do anything to it.
Right.
Which your deck's not going to be built to if it's in your 99, which is where we're talking about these cards.
Well, I'm thinking Krenko, his own deck, obviously, but I'll throw in Zada, because it makes tokens, and you want to bump his power anyway.
Sure, that's fair. Krenko's fine. I like him as a commander. If you're not playing him as a commander, I would steer clear most of the time.
Zada. Zealous Conscripts, C+. It has combos. As a body, if you're not going to sacrifice the creature or take advantage of it somehow, I'm not interested. It's fluff. It's filler. It doesn't do anything.
This is the best active treason effect for commander.
It's possible. I don't know.
It's on a body.
It's hard to say.
It's on a body. You put this in decks with sack outlets, and you sacrifice their creature.
Even so, there's Mass Mutiny and Red Primordial. They take 1 from each, so that's like 2 more mana, or in Mass Mutiny's case, 0 more mana. For 3.
If you're in an attacks meta, then Insurrection's insane. That's a game winner.
Oh yeah, Insurrection. Oof. So Zealous Conscripts just ends up being in the middle. It's not great.
I'm actually absolutely shocked. Let's do this last one. I'll say what I'm shocked we didn't see. Actually, I'll just say now it's Insurrection. Where is that?
That's fallen off. I remember
it's still
even like years ago now. Command Zone was like, hey, this isn't really that doesn't really cut the cheese anymore. And I would agree.
I would agree overall, but I think that card is still. I think it is should be in the top 60 played red cards.
It's still ending games to this day for sure.
It'll definitely end games. It really that card. I think there is not a card that I think is more meta dependent than that, because Insurrection is one of the best cards in your attacks low board white metas. It is going to win an insane amount of games, but the more you steer toward like less attacks, it gets worse and
You're
worse.
just not gonna cast it in those in the opposite. You won't even say this is bad because you won't even be able to cast it.
True. And the last,
Past in Flames is last.
yeah, it's
Last in Flames.
this is a combo card. That's all it is. If you're playing a combo deck that wants to go crazy, cast all its rituals, everything it's done for the turn, get that Brass's Bounty again, you know.
Ooh.
I mean,
see, now that's pretty sweet.
That's the deck you want it in. Otherwise, don't just throw this in for value. It's a bad value card.
No, we've talked about this a couple times on the channel, but Yawgmoth's Will is just bad. It's not good. The effect, like that's the best effect you're gonna get, and it's not even that good. It's like expensive, crappy reanimate where you just rather have so many other spells. So this is worse than that. Make sure you've got the build arounds, like to the moon. You've got to be built around this.
Yeah, Yawgmoth's Will, not great in Commander. That is a hot take.
That blew me away. I spent money on that card.
Yeah, and then we
It
traded.
wasn't that much. It was
I know,
like what,
I know
20?
what we traded it for.
It was like 20 at that point.
Yeah, and we traded away at 100 or something.
Yeah. Cha-ching!
It's probably
Geniuses.
worth,
End the
probably
video.
worth way more now. I almost said peace out,
Whoa.
Travis.
Whoa.
Calm
I
down.
gotta shill way more before we end the video.
Special shout outs to all of our patrons. Love you all as much as we can without making you uncomfortable. I'm sorry my hair is messy today. I feel like it's a mess.
If you want to fix Joe's hair, donate to the Patreon. There's a special tier that will fix Joe's hair, and then he'll never be messy haired again.
Here's a question. I'm thinking about dyeing my hair purple.
I forgot about that.
What do people think? I want to hear the opinions. I'm thinking about.
We'll do a poll.
We'll do a poll.
Should Joe Cherry's dye his hair purple? I'm predicting 94% say yes.
I'm thinking I'm going to try it. I just don't know. Chad actually asked me, I'm like, I think I want to dye my hair purple. And he's like, are you going to do your beard? I'm like, I don't know. I've never thought about it.
That would look weird.
That's why I was thinking that would look weird, yeah.
Ooh, orange beard.
Ooh.
That's closer to like ginger, and it's Nitpicking your colors.
Oh, I like that. I do like that.
For $1 million, we'll do it. Go to the TCG player link in the description, buy $1 million of cards, check out, and then we
it's
get
not $1 million.
we get a percentage of the $1 million that you.
It's a lot of money, but it's not $1 million.
We don't get $1 million off that.
Yeah,
but we
so
want
instead of
everyone
that, go to
spend $1 million.
patreon.com and give us $1 million.
Will Patreon let you?
Why would they not let you? If you guys actually have the money, they're not gonna go. This guy's giving. Oh man, and we only take like a.
We take a cut of this.
We take a small cut. We can't let him leave $1 million.
All right. So the tidbit is, tell us if Joe should dye his hair. Stay tuned for the follow-up
Yeah, my hair's not
poll,
good today.
and check out our best creature of each type. It was a big video and it was really fun.
Yes, I hope that you guys like that video. I want to do a tidbit or something, but I don't remember now.
Kickstarter.
Oh, that's
the
so
17th.
important.
There's your tidbit. It's the Kickstarter. You thought we were going to mention it again? We're mentioning it right now. Please help us out. We're going to live our gameplay dreams, and you're going to make a lot of kids out there very happy. And elderly people who are on their deathbeds who just want to see Nitpicking Nerds gameplay.
There's a lot of those, I hear.
Dozens.
Yeah, what's our demographic? I believe it's 18 to 35
I
year olds.
think it's like 18 to 19-year-olds.
I think it's 18 to 35. That's like the target demographic for Magic, I believe.
Okay, we're targeting you. We're so
You're
technical.
Got him on our sights.
That was a slingshot. Nothing violent.
Yeah.
Okay, we're done.
Peace out, Tribe Scout.